Good morning. All right, rules. Be objective, trade what you see and not what you think. Don't look for an entry, look for understanding. Wait for the easiest entries when all of the context aligns. No looking at Discord channels other than the main room and news. No looking at any other web pages or apps than the rule set and timer. If Thomas has a trend drawn, then I will draw it the same way. Only take good PATS signal bars. Longs above the EMA and shorts below the EMA unless you're coming off a proven trend or horizontal support or resistance level. Must be touching the EMA, trend line, or a support or resistance level in order to take a trade. Don't take the first, second entry after an overshoot or break a new extreme. A higher low or lower high is needed. Context that I'll take a trade in a trend, take a trade looking for a break a new extreme, take a trade after the EMA is held strongly in a clear and obvious bias. Setups that I'll take a second entry, I'll take a failed second entry, I'll take a higher low or lower high after a second entry, I'll take a higher low or lower high after two clear legs back. I'll enter at the signal bar close with a limit order or further back to have room before the previous highs or lows. No trading 10 minutes before any news events, and let all trades play out, no closing trades early. Looks like at 11 a.m. there's an FOMC speaker, but that doesn't really impact trading because they kind of go on for a certain amount of time and it's not like a one-time news event. So I won't worry about that one. Clearly in an uptrend here, you have a new low, so I would consider a failed second entry, assuming prices continue to hold the EMA. Overall, it's been a pretty solid uptrend, so we haven't been swinging back and forth along the EMA. You can see each time prices kind of return to the EMA, they've held for the most part. Now this downtrend is played out. You're inside of the uptrend. You have a first entry, second entry. It would also create a first entry, second entry long. So it's a possibility there. Looking for a second entry long now. Prices are clearly holding the EMA. This is not a strong trend, but it's not a weak one. Somewhere in the middle. All right, rules. Be objective. Trade what you see and not what you think. Don't look for an entry, look for understanding. Wait for the easiest entries when all of the context aligns. No looking at any other Discord channels than the main room and news. No looking at any other web pages or apps than the rule set and timer. If Thomas is a trend drawn, then I will also draw it the same way. Only take good PATS signal bars, longs above the EMA and shorts below the EMA, unless you're coming off a proven trend or horizontal support or resistance level. Must be touching the EMA, trend line, or support or resistance level in order to take a trade. Don't take the first, second entry after an overshoot or break into extreme. You'll need at least a higher low or lower high afterwards. Context that I'll take a trade in a trend, I'll take a trade looking for a break into extreme, or I'll take a trade after the EMA is held strongly in a clear and obvious bias. Setups I'll take a second entry, a failed second entry, a higher low or lower high after a second entry, or a higher low or lower high after two clear legs back. I'll enter at the signal bar close with the limit order or further back to have room for the previous highs or lows, and you do need room for the previous highs and lows to get out. No trading 10 minutes before any news event, and you have to wait until the news finishes, so if it's really volatile, you have to wait until the news kind of dies down in order to consider taking a trade. Let all the trades play out, no closing any trades early. Looking for a second entry long here. We have a first entry, so if we move down and we get a second entry long off the EMA, I'll be very interested. All right, entering that there. It is possible that this is a little bit too high. So like you can see prices touch the EMA, but they traded all the way up here. So it's a little bit higher than I wanted to take it, but this is a pretty strong trend here. First break of EMA in a while. It's a really nice bullish bar. So I'm going to take that. I didn't realize that I was pushing up into these highs, but in a trend, in a strong trend, that is okay. It's really just after a break into extreme, you don't really want to push the highs. So I'll have to kind of edit that. I kind of forgot. Anyway, see if we can get up there. It's possible maybe I should have dropped a limit order back a little bit. So let's see if I got in, let's say 3 ticks back.
Target filled.
It might have been, you know, safer there, but I do think that's still a very good trade. And let's see what that would have looked like with a runner. So if we had a runner break even, let's see what we could have done with that. Possibility for another second entry long here. First entry, and let's see, looks like we're going to close through the EMA, so probably best to wait on a higher low unless you get a really nice bullish bar through the EMA. Okay, there's still a possibility for a second entry long off the trend line though. That's a pretty strong downtrend, so I don't know if I want to really go against that, but let's see. No good signal bar anyway. So we'll look for some sort of higher low if prices push up above the EMA. All right, Thomas has this drawn tighter. Although I have a feeling it's going to end up being wider. Even if you get a second entry short here, I'm not going to take that because the overall bias is up and I don't want to go against that. So there could be a good looking pattern and you're looking for that break a new low for the downtrend potentially. So like if there's a bearish bar here, but ultimately I'm looking for a break a new high of this uptrend and I don't want to trade against that. Okay, I think this is going to be an overshoot. And we're looking for a failed second entry. All right, that's not the way that Thomas has it drawn, so let's go ahead and switch that up there. He's just got it as a downtrend with a close outside and a new low. And we're looking for a failed second entry short to go long. Looks like we're not going to get it. Looks like prices are just going to go ahead and move up there, but let's see. Yep, so yeah, the first entry, second entry, that's the failure up there. So now we just got to look for a second entry long or some sort of higher low after prices either make 2 legs back or, you know, higher low after second entry, basically. Okay, so possible second entry here. So I forgot Thomas says to draw trends with the trend. Your trend lines, draw them with the trend wide and draw them against the trend tight. So in this case I had this one wide, so I had this one too wide here, and then I had this one too tight here. So you have a first entry, break lower, second entry triggers right there, but you all have, like, this is all one top right here. So if we do get a second entry long, you can start counting off this as one high. Also, this does break higher than this previous high, so it is a true new high as well. All right, rules. Be objective. Trade what you see and not what you think. Don't look for an entry, look for understanding. Wait for the easiest entries when all of the context aligns. No looking at Discord channels other than the main room and the newsroom. No looking at any other web pages or apps than the rule set or timer. If Thomas is a trend drawn, then I'll draw it the same way. Only trade good PATS signal bars. Only take longs above the EMA and shorts below the EMA unless you're coming off a proven trend line or support or resistance level. Must be touching the EMA, trend line, or support or resistance level in order to take a trade. Don't take the first second entry after an overshoot or break a new extreme. You need to wait on at least a higher low or lower high or failed second entry in order to take one afterwards. Context that I'll take a trade in: I'll take a trade in a trend, I'll take a trade looking for it break a new extreme, or I'll take a trade after the EMA is held strongly in a clear and obvious bias. Setups I'll take a second entry, a failed second entry, higher low or lower high after a second entry, or a higher low or lower high after two clear legs back. I'll enter at the signal bar close, and I need to make sure there's room to get out before the previous highs or lows. I did not do that here, partially because I just didn't think about it, but also partially because it's in a trend. So really, that rule as far as getting out before the previous highs or lows is most important after there's a break. So if this was after the trend break and we were going right into the highs, that's very risky. Or if this was a weaker trend. So at this point, it's looking like a pretty strong trend. So I think it's acceptable, but I'll have to determine that later on. And no trading 10 minutes before any news events, and need to let all trades play out. No closing trades early. All right, so now that this uptrend has a close outside and a new high, let's see, our price is going to hold the EMA or not. Right now I'm thinking maybe not, because we already pushed through the EMA right there. Wouldn't be surprised if we create a second larger leg back. At this point, I'm in between whether we can start looking for some shorts, because This uptrend now has a break, 2 attempts at a new high that fail, and we push back through the EMA. So that's the case for saying, okay, we are okay to take some shorts. Or you could say, okay, this is going to create a short trap, and then we're going to create the second leg up to finally create that break a new high. I'm not sure which one of those is correct, so it's better just to not take any trades at the moment. Okay, we might actually have a wider downtrend here. You can see prices are failing to come back to the EMA, and this little uptrend right here can't play out. Rules. Be objective. Trade what you see and not what you think. Don't look for an entry, look for understanding. Wait for the easiest entries when all of the context aligns. No looking at Discord channels other than the main room and news. No looking at any other web pages or apps than rule set and timer. If Thomas is a trend drawn, then I'll draw it the same way. Only trade good PATS signal bars, longs above the EMA and shorts below the EMA unless you're coming off a proven trend line or support or resistance line. Must be touching the EMA trend line or a horizontal support or resistance line in order to take a trade. Don't take the first second entry after an overshoot or break into extreme. A higher low, lower high, or failed second entry is needed afterwards. Context I'll take a trade in a trend, take a trade looking for a break into extreme of a trend, or I'll take a trade after the EMA is held strongly in a clear and obvious bias. Setups I'll take a second entry, a failed second entry, a higher low or lower high after a second entry, or a higher low or lower high after two clear legs back. Enter at the signal bar, close, or further back if I need room to get out before the previous highs or lows. And that's with limit order. No trading 10 minutes before news events, and have to wait until the news settles down once it happens. And I need to let all trades play out. So there's no closing any trades early. So this looks like a pretty clear two broad legs down. And now we're thinking, okay, prices might resume the uptrend and look for the close outside a new high of this uptrend now. Don't want to take that short. We've already made two legs down and this uptrend still doesn't have a break in new high. So don't want to take the second entry short. there's a lower high that, you know, maybe you consider, but again, maybe you can consider it just because this downtrend doesn't have a break in new low. So like similar to the second entry short. But the thing is, this looks like 2 legs back in a broader correction of this uptrend. So you see uptrend, broad, 2 legs back. So I'm waiting for prices to potentially continue this uptrend. I'm not really looking for shorts here. So that's the same with the second entry short and the lower high. Now everything's played out to the low side. And we can start definitely looking for some longs. Still looking for this break into extreme of this uptrend. So if we do get like a failure, could be good. Strong push through the EMA, so that's a good sign for potential longs. See if it can hold up there though. And it looks like we are continuing to reject off the EMA. So we might want to switch biases and start thinking, okay, this is okay to start taking some shorts. Okay, even after the two broader legs down and this downtrend having a close outside and new low, you're still failing to get back above the EMA. So that's definitely a sign that shorts are kind of in control here. And this could end up being a range. Okay, we have a first entry short. There's a possibility to look for a second entry short off the EMA here. Looks like we're in a downtrend. We've been holding the EMA. So looking again for a second entry short. It's got to be off the EMA though, so if we trigger on this bearish bar here, I can't take that. And looks like we triggered the second entry short because you have a first entry, break higher, then you break lower than that bar right there, creating the second entry on an engulfing bar. I can't take that. Rules: be objective, trade what you see and not what you think. Don't look for an entry, look for understanding. Wait for the easiest entries when all of the context aligns. No looking at Discord channels other than the main room and news. No looking at any other web pages or apps than the rule set and timer. If Thomas has a trend drawn, then I will draw it the same way. Only take good PATS signal bars. Take longs above the EMA and shorts below the EMA unless you're coming off a proven trend or horizontal support resistance level. Must be touching the EMA, trend line, or support resistance level in order to take a trade. Don't take the first second entry after an overshoot or break a new extreme. Higher low, lower high, or failed second entry is needed afterwards. The context that I'll take a trade in a trend. I'll take a trade looking for a break in new extreme. And I'll take a trade after the EMA is held strongly in a clear and obvious bias. Setups that I'll take a second entry, a failed second entry, a higher low or lower high after a second entry, or a higher low or lower high after two clear legs back. I'll enter the signal bar close with a limit order or further back to have room before the previous highs or lows. No trading 10 minutes for any news events, and I'll have to let the news events play out before I'll take another trade, and I need to let all trades play out, so no closing them early. Possibility for a second entry short here. If we move up and get a bearish bar off the EMA, see price is traded up, traded through the EMA just slightly, but then instantly reversed back under it. So that's basically a rejection there. But we would need to trade up and touch the EMA and create a bearish bar in order for me to be interested. Which is looking like a very real possibility here. Okay, so we pushed back up and through the EMA. Still the possibility, so if we do tick higher and get a nice bearish bar, then I might still consider it, but it's looking less likely now. Majority of that bar closes above the EMA. It is a second entry short. It does close below the EMA. You are in a downtrend. It's a perfect bearish bar. But just with pushing up and through the EMA twice like that, and the majority of this bar being up above the EMA, I'm going to skip that and wait on something better. There's potential for a lower high still. It looks like it was probably a good trade there. Yep, so I'm actually going to switch that. I think that was probably a good trade to take. Just go and put that there. It's okay though. If I'm uncertain, it's better to skip, I believe. That one would have given you a very, very nice runner. That's a huge runner. Look at that. Be over 1,000 points or over $1,000 on one single contract for a runner. Even if you just took it down to one tick below this, it's a huge runner. So it looks like Thomas did take that trade, so I'm curious to know why it is that this one's okay, but there was one yesterday that was pretty similar. Right here, this one. Why this one? God, I keep misclicking. Why this one is not okay. Maybe because it's a lower high, and the context is definitely a little bit different. This one's after a break. It's a lower high, so that could be it. I'll have to look at that later on. All right, rules. Be objective, trade what you see and not what you think. Don't look for an entry, look for understanding. Wait for the easiest entries when all of the context aligns. No looking at Discord channels other than the main room and news. No looking at any other web pages or apps than the rule set and timer. If Thomas is a trend drawn, I will also draw it the same way. Only trade good PATS signal bars. Longs above the EMA and shorts below the EMA unless you're coming off a proven trend or horizontal support or resistance level. Must be touching the EMA, trend line, or a support or resistance level in order to take a trade. Don't take the first second entry after an overshoot or break into extreme. A higher low, lower high, or failed second entry is needed afterwards. Context that I'll take a trade in a trend. I'll take a trade looking for a break into extreme. I'll take a trade after the EMA is held strongly in a clear and obvious bias. Setups that I'll take a second entry, a failed second entry, a higher low or lower high after a second entry, higher low or lower high after two clear legs back, whenever I'm entering a trade, I'll enter at the signal bar close with a limit order or further back to have room to get out before previous highs, lows, or support or resistance. No trading 10 minutes before any news events, and I need to wait until prices settle back down after a news event, if that's applicable, and let all trades play out. No closing trades early. Looks like Thomas has changed his trend around. He's got this tighter trend here. I believe like this. And he is in this trade right now, and he's trailing his runner. It's one tick behind this high right here. So he's got almost 30 points on a runner. It's almost $1,500 on one contract, which is just crazy. I mean, that'll really change your math right there if you get a couple of those. Yeah, look at that. 32 points on a runner right now. And obviously this, what I thought might have been a range, did not come into play at all. I will still draw the support and resistance level, but I don't think that it's truly a range there. Looks like we have a double bottom right here. I think that's a double bottom. Yeah, double bottom. You could count this as a first entry and look for a second entry, but I think I'll probably just count this as one low. It doesn't really look like a leg back. That just looks like sideways action. Let's see, price is just moving sideways there. So I would bet that Thomas has probably moved his runner one tick above this swing now. So at this point, you've locked in at least 26 points on a single runner, just keeping it above these highs. So if you kept it above this one here, and then kind of left it, gave it some room above this one, whenever prices come down here, you move it above this swing. Prices move down, you move it above this swing. So you could still have, again, 26 points locked in, just keeping it above that swing. That is crazy. And it looks like if you kept it there, then it would be stopped out now, which is still a very, very nice runner. Potential for a second entry short. We have a leg up, first entry, and we're looking for a possible second entry. This is looking like a pretty strong trend now. Prices came down and they've pretty much failed to get above the EMA over and over and over. I mean, they have temporarily traded above, but just traded right back through. and made some distance from the EMA, came back, touched it there. Possibility for a second entry short. Signal bar is not any good. And we do break lower on that signal bar. Can't take that. At least I think that broke lower. If it did break higher first and then lower, then I guess you can still take that. But I think that broke lower before it broke higher. I actually have my stream. I'm going to check that out and see if that's what happened there. Let's see. Yeah, so it looks like it broke lower first, then higher, so nothing to do there. Potential for a lower high though. First entry, second entry. Because it breaks higher there, so first entry, second entry, breaks higher. I guess that would make this a third entry. So yeah, no, look, I mean, it doesn't happen anyway, but either way, it's not valid. It's a really strong sell-off. It's probably like at least 100 points. Or close to 100 points. It's 87, so getting there. Pretty big bearish bar. 43 points on a runner. It's almost over 2 grand if you could stick it out that long. All right, another possibility for a second entry short. We have a new low. First entry, possibility for a second entry, but it has to come up and touch the EMA. Doesn't look like that's what's going to happen there. Yep, not off the EMA, nothing you can do. Looks like Thomas is still in this runner, which is crazy. He's got it trailed way behind, so he's got his the highs right here, just keeping it going. So we have a first entry, second entry, potential for a lower high, but chances are probably low on that one. Rules: be objective, trade what you see and not what you think. Don't look for an entry, look for understanding. Wait for the easiest entries when all of the context aligns. No looking at Discord channels other than the main room and news. No looking at any other web pages or apps than the rule set and timer. And I did technically break this one whenever I looked at the live stream earlier to see if this trade was valid or not. So there's really no point in doing that. I mean, I didn't actually need to know at that very moment whether this trade was valid or not. So that was a mistake on my part. I shouldn't have done that. If Thomas has a trend drawn, then I will also draw it the same way. I will only trade good PATS signal bars. I'll take longs above the EMA and shorts below the EMA unless you're coming off a proven trend or horizontal support or resistance level. Must be touching the EMA, trend line, or a support or resistance level in order to take a trade. Don't take the first, second entry after an overshoot or break into extreme. Higher low, lower high, or failed second entry is needed afterwards. Context that I'll take a trade in a trend, take a trade looking for a break into extreme, and I'll take a trade after the EMA is held strongly in a clear and obvious bias. Setups that I'll take a second entry, failed second entry, higher low or lower high after second entry, or higher low or lower high after 2 clear legs back. Enter at the signal bar close with a limit order or further back to get out before previous highs or lows if applicable. So here I did enter into these highs. So the trade that I took here was pushing these highs, but it was within a trend. And since you're within a trend, a decently strong trend, I think this might have been okay, but I'll have to look into that afterwards to decide because I'm not sure. I know definitely after a break. So if this was after the break and then I was trading up into the high, definitely can't do that. But in this specific scenario, maybe, maybe not, I'm not sure. No trading 10 minutes before a news event, and after a news event, you have to wait until the prices settle back down in order to consider another trade. let all the trades play out. No closing trades early. Man, I just can't stop checking to see how far of a runner this is. Not that I even trade runners, but man, like, that's almost 50 points now. That is huge. That's just from the top to a very, very big sell-off. Getting close to 100 point sell-off in, how much time is that? In under an hour and a half. That is a lot of selling. Looks like we broke lower there, so first entry. And we're continuing lower, so nothing to do. This is obviously a very strong trend now. So back here, it's starting to look pretty strong, but here it's clearly very, very strong. Lots of little dojis, continuously working lower, basically failing to get through the EMA. Honestly, even kind of failing to get back to the EMA a lot of times. So have to expect that the corrections are going to be kind of shallow here. So even if you do get a second entry short and it doesn't look like it's pulled back far enough, then it's still probably worth taking. And you can be a little bit more lenient with the signal bars in action like this. This is just a very strong downtrend. and Thomas is still in this runner. It's craziness. So at this point, I'm pretty sure how he's doing the runner is he's waiting until there's a break above the EMA and like a strong close above the EMA. Because at this point we're in EMA hard mode, and that's whenever the EMA is continuously rejecting here. So you can basically treat the EMA like a trend line. So he's probably waiting until there's a strong close, which he calls an EMA gap bar. So let's say if this is the strong close, it's funny that I just started talking about that. Then he might now move this above this swing and say, okay, like I'll take my 45 points, which is absurd. 45 points, that's a huge runner. Possibility for a second entry short, but I'd say it's unlikely. You have a first entry here, and this next break lower would be the second entry short. Now that we've pushed so strongly above the EMA though, chances are low. I mean, it would have to be a very strong bearish bar in order to be a second entry short there. So let's look for the lower high below the EMA and see if we can get that, or a failed second entry. Looks like 2 legs back to me. And I think I lost connection. Or not, okay. That's super odd. Price is like paused there for a second. Not sure what was going on. I think my whole entire... I'm gonna try and reload my data and see what happened there. I'm not sure what just went on. It's like I froze up for a second. That's a huge rally right there. I think this is actually the news event, now that I think about it, because what's his name? Some FOMC speaker is speaking at 11 o'clock. Generally, you don't get a big jump like that off of a speaker, but in this case, I guess you are. So I'm not really looking to take any longs, even if you came back with like a perfect 2-legged pullback to the EMA now. I'm not really looking to take that because this is a strong push up and away from the EMA. There's lots of room between the EMA, so you don't really want to take that long. Plus, this is a very strong downtrend. It's probably going to get a retest at some point. So I'm actually just going to wait for this correction to play out, and then I'll start looking for some sort of shorts to get some continuation on this downtrend, whether that's a break a new low or just a whole separate downtrend. That's what I'm going to be looking for. It's a possibility that later on we do get some sort of trend like this. I don't want to draw that too early though. huge rally. 38 points in 4 minutes. It's a pretty crazy day. Very high volatility. ATR's at 4. Looks like you could get 2 likes back here. Second entry already triggered. Like I said, I wouldn't take that anyway. Rules: be objective, trade what you see and not what you think. Don't look for an entry, look for understanding. Look for the easiest entries when all of the context aligns. No looking at Discord channels other than the main room and news. No looking at any other web pages or apps than the rule set and timer. If Thomas has a trend drawn, then I will also draw it the same way. Only trade good PATS signal bars. Take longs above the EMA and shorts below the EMA unless you're coming off a proven trend line or horizontal support or resistance level. Must be touching the EMA, trend line, or support or resistance level in order to take a trade. Let me draw this real quick. Don't take the first, second entry after an overshoot or break into extreme. Need a lower high, higher low, or failed second entry. Context that I'll take a trade in a trend, I'll take a trade looking for a break into extreme, and I'll take a trade after the EMA is held strongly in a clear and obvious bias. Setups I'll take a second entry, I'll take a failed second entry, take a higher low or lower high after a second entry, or I'll take a higher low or lower high after 2 clear legs back. And those are the only 2 scenarios that I'll take a higher low or lower high. So yeah, enter at the signal bar close with a little bit order or further back to have room before the previous highs or lows. No trading 10 minutes before any news events, and need to wait until the news settles down after the news happens. Let all trades play out, no closing trades early. Looks like we might just get continuation for the downtrend already. Possible overshoot here. With that being a possible overshoot, I'm gonna have to skip the next second entry short. So even if we get a second entry short here, I can't take that because there's a possible overshoot of the downtrend. But if prices do continue to work lower, and it looks like they are, then I'll go ahead and expand this out and delete that. Not look at that as an overshoot. Let's tighten this. Maybe not. All right, so let's go ahead and change this. Thomas does have it drawn as an overshoot. So still skipping the next second entry short. First entry. Looks like we're probably just gonna head straight toward a close outside a new low. And we have hit the new low there. Still looking for a new low here. But I can't take the next second entry short because this downtrend already has a break and a new low, so we'll need to wait until prices hold the EMA, and then we can look for some sort of lower high. I think I'm gonna start just doing an L for that, because it takes up too much space otherwise. Just want to look back at this again. How many points? Could have gotten 53.5 points max. That's huge, huge down move. Looks like we might have a larger downtrend. We're getting really close to this. Break a new low here. So you have a downtrend, break, new low. Prices do continue down, but this would be the first second entry short after the break and new low. So within my rules, I cannot take that. It's tempting to make an exception here. The reasons that I would be tempted to make an exception: one, because after the break and new low, you did continue lower, and two, it's just been such a strong downtrend that, you know, it feels like maybe it's worth making an exception, but I don't think that it's the right idea. So Just gonna have to skip that, even if there is a good looking second entry there. And I'm free to reassess later and decide if that was the right decision or not. So again, even if you get a bearish bar there, I can't take this second entry short. It's looking very, very tempting though. You can see all that resistance coming in there, so it's really like a 1, 2, 3, it's like a quadruple test. Second entry short, looking for the break and new low of possibly 2 separate trends. Well, that bar's decently bearish, but it's not super, super bearish. So anyway, it's not the trade that I'm going to take there. I'm gonna have to wait on a lower high or something. Looks like it's not even gonna break lower. Okay, so that did break lower. Again, possible second entry short, very, very tempting to take, but just within my rules after the break and new low for this downtrend, I'm not taking the next second entry. Now I would consider the lower high though. So if we do create a lower high there, could be something worth considering. So if we do break higher there, I'll look for that potential lower high. Looks like we're just going to go ahead and head down to that break and new low. So we have created the break and new low for this downtrend. So again, got to skip the next second entry short. We are within this other downtrend though, so it's a good chance that we continue to work lower. This is also a massive downtrend. So continuing to expect to take shorts. Rules. Be objective. Trade what you see and not what you think. Don't look for an entry, look for understanding. Wait for the easiest entries when all of the context aligns. No looking at any Discord channels other than the main room and news. No looking at any other web pages or apps than the rule set and timer. If Thomas has a trend drawn, then I'll draw it the same way. Only take good PATS signal bars, longs above the EMA and shorts below the EMA unless you're coming off a proven trend or horizontal support or resistance level. Must be touching the EMA, trend line, or a horizontal support or resistance level in order to take a trade. Don't take the first second entry after an overshoot or break a new extreme. And here we go. I didn't take this second entry short. I was so tempting. The reason being that this downtrend, so this tighter downtrend, already has a break and new low. So I didn't think you could take that, but really you can probably just go ahead and delete this one and say, okay, this trend is actually just wider. And in that case, maybe it's acceptable, but I was uncertain. So I followed my rules and I'll have to make that determination later, or the full determination later. Context I'll take a trade in a trend, I'll take a trade looking for a break in new extreme, or I'll take a trade after the EMA is held strongly in a clear and obvious bias. Setups I'll take a second entry, a failed second entry, a higher low or lower high after a second entry, higher low or lower high after two clear legs back. Whenever I'm entering a trade, I'll enter the signal bar close with a limit order or further back to have room before previous highs or lows if that's applicable. And no trading 10 minutes before any news events. Let all the trades play out. No closing trades early. So now that this trend has a break a new low, which is here, I don't want to take the first second entry. I want to wait and see if the EMA is going to hold. Overall, I'm still expecting prices to trade lower. This is a very strong downtrend. Even though we do have this break a new low, I'm not looking for a reversal. I'm expecting prices to trade lower. Just need to see what's going to happen here at the EMA. What kind of correction are we going to get? Is it going to be sideways? Are we just going to hold and continue lower? Or are we going to get some sort of two larger legs back or something of that nature? So that's what I'm waiting to see. And that would be the first second entry short. Can't take that. No good signal bar anyway. First entry breaks higher, second entry breaks on this kind of doji inside bar. So just kind of waiting on something else. Now you have two legs back. So this is exactly what you expect after the break in new low. Expecting some sort of slightly larger correction or some sort of reversal. This looks to me like 2 legs back, so if we do get a lower high below the EMA, then I'll look to take that, looking for the break in new low of this downtrend here, the secondary one. Okay, so we're looking like we could get a possible lower high here after 2 legs up. It's basically 2 perfect legs up. So if we do break higher here and get a nice bearish bar, maybe it's something you can consider. Or if we just go ahead and move below the EMA and get a nice lower highs, then maybe that's something I'd consider. Looking to see if we get that break higher. New high there, uptrend break new high. And I'm gonna go ahead and draw the full kind of trend there. We are looking for a lower high, 2 legs up, looking for lower high or failed second entry now. So in order to get that lower high, you need to break above this bar right here in order to start considering that. Okay, can start considering a lower high here. There is some resistance here, but you're not as worried about that because this has been a very strong downtrend. And no good signal bar. Very, very close to getting a bearish signal bar, but it's not what happened. And it looks like the lower high here is going to trigger on a neutral bar, one that you can't trade there. Okay, can't take that lower high. It's an inside bar. Well, that's not even, yeah, it is an inside bar. I can't take inside bars. It's part of my rules. So I'm waiting for a failed second entry. You have a new high here, you have a 1, and then I'm looking for a failed second entry off the EMA, looking for this break and new low now. Let's go ahead and draw this downtrend here. So it looks like that's a possibility. If we break above this bar. So we did. Let's see if we can get a failed second entry long below the EMA, looking for the break and new low. It's not what you get. First entry, second entry, can't take that. Prices are looking pretty congestive now, so need to be careful. Looks like the failure is going to trigger on this bar here, which is not one that I can take. Also, prices are starting to look very congestive here. Look at all those stacked bars. Still something I would consider. Yeah, no longer. Looks like we are probably getting just a further correction there. Looks like you have another new high, uptrend, break, new high. And you might be creating two larger legs back. Be objective. Trade what you see and not what you think. Don't look for an entry, look for understanding. Wait for the easiest entries when all of the context aligns. No looking at any Discord channels other than the main room and news. No looking at any other web pages or apps than the rule set and timer. If Thomas has a trend drawn, then I will also draw it the same way. Only take good PATS signal bars. Take longs off the EMA and shorts below or longs above the EMA and shorts below unless you're coming off a proven trend or horizontal support or resistance level. Must be touching the EMA, trend line, or a support or resistance level in order to take a trade. Don't take the first second entry after an overshoot or break into extreme. You need a lower high, higher low, or failed second entry afterwards. Context that I will take a trade in a trend, take a trade looking for a break into extreme. I'll take a trade after the EMA is held strongly in a clear and obvious bias. Setups that I'll take a second entry, a failed second entry, a higher low or lower high after a second entry, or a higher low or lower high after two clear legs. So for example, here's two clear legs back. Here we're looking for a break into extreme, and there's the possibility to get a lower high or a failed second entry. Setups, I'll take a second entry, a failed second entry. Oh, I already said that. Enter at the signal bar close with limit order or further back to have room before the previous highs or lows. No trading 10 minutes before news events, and you have to wait until the news settles back down if there is a big news event. Let all the trades play out, no closing trades early. And that's it. I think that something like this could be correct, so I'm going to go ahead and draw that just in case. Possibility of lower high. Just have to break above this bar and create a bearish bar off the EMA, in which case I would definitely consider taking this lower high. But it has moved pretty far. Okay, possibility for a lower high here. Still possibility. Looks like this bearish bar might end up being too big. If it does close bearish there, I'd say right now it's still okay, but if it does go any further than that, I'll probably have to drop the limit order back a little bit. Okay. Gotta go one tick further, so I'm taking this as a lower high after two legs back, looking for the break and new low of the downtrend with a nice bearish bar. I think, truthfully, I probably should have dropped the order back just a little bit, but here we are. So let's see what happens. Looks like two clear legs back to me. It's a lower high below the EMA, nice bearish bar, looking for the break and new low of this downtrend. Overall today, the bias has been very strongly down. So let's see what happens. Looks like that is in the right place. I think if this one does win, then I'll probably just go ahead and hop off for the day and call it, take my 2 winners because we're getting pretty close
Target
to.
filled.
Yep, there we go. All right, I like that. It has moved a little bit, maybe not a little bit too far, but it's moved a little bit far for a lower high. But I like how it looks like 2 legs back. You're looking for a break a new low. Overall bias has been bearish, very bearish bar there. I've only got 20 minutes left in the day, and I like having my 2 wins. I'm just going to go ahead and call it. I've got a few things to do before this afternoon, so yep, going to call it there, and I'll see you guys next week.